The awakening. Michael's heart raced as he navigated the sterile halls of the Intergalactic Alliance medical facility on Xenol Vista Prime. The rhythmic hum of advanced medical equipment surrounded him, a constant reminder of his new reality. After a harrowing battlefield injury that had taken his legs and altered his life forever, he found himself confined within these metallic walls, a once valiant soldier reduced to a wheelchair. He gazed at the holographic displays lining the corridor, showcasing the vital signs of various patients and the intricate anatomical models of alien species. The metallic taste of recycled air filled his mouth as he pushed on, the chill of the facility matching the anxiety churning in his stomach. As he approached the rehabilitation wing, a Xerian orderly scuttled by, leaving behind a bioluminescent trail. Michael couldn't help but suppress a shudder. Despite his years of service across the stars, some aspects of alien physiology still made him uneasy. He forced himself to focus on the task ahead, his therapy session with Ren, the nurse who had become an unexpected anchor in his turbulent life. The door to the therapy room hissed open, revealing a space filled with advanced equipment designed to coax his damaged muscles back to life. There stood Ren, her cerulean skin shimmering under the harsh lights, a vision of calm in his chaotic world. "Good morning, Michael," she said, her voice melodic and soothing, cutting through the anxiety swirling in his mind. "Are you ready to begin?" He forced a smile, masking the dread that coiled in his gut. "As ready as I'll ever be, I suppose." Her penetrating gaze seemed to see through his bravado, and he felt a wave of vulnerability wash over him. "Your vital signs indicate elevated stress levels," Ren observed, her eyes narrowing with concern. "Perhaps we should start with some relaxation techniques today." "No," Michael replied more sharply than he intended. He softened his tone. "I mean, let's just get on with it. I didn't come all this way to do breathing exercises." Ren hesitated, a flicker of something crossing her face too quickly for him to decipher. "Very well," she said, gesturing to the neural stimulator. "Let's begin with some passive muscle engagement." As he positioned himself on the device, Ren's slender fingers danced over the controls, initiating the familiar tingling sensation of electrical impulses coursing through his legs. "How does that feel?" she asked, her large iridescent eyes fixed on him with an intensity that made his breath catch. "Same as always," he grunted, fighting to keep his expression neutral. The sensation was like 1,000 tiny needles jabbing at him, a constant reminder of what he had lost. "It's like someone's jabbing me with 1,000 tiny needles." "That's a good sign," Ren noted, making a notation on her datapad. "It means the neural pathways are still responsive. Now I want you to focus on your right quadriceps." Michael closed his eyes, concentrating on the limb that felt more like a foreign object than a part of himself. He visualized the muscle fibers, willing them to contract. A bead of sweat trickled down his temple as he fought to engage the muscle. "Anything?" he asked through gritted teeth. There was a slight increase in electrical activity, Ren reported, her tone encouraging. "It's minimal, but it's progress." Michael's eyes snapped open, frustration and hope warring within him. "Minimal? It's been 3 months, Ren. I should be walking by now." Her expression softened, and she placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. The warmth radiating from her palm sent an unexpected jolt through him, heightening his awareness of her presence. "Recovery isn't linear, Michael," she said gently. "Especially with injuries as severe as yours. The fact that you're regaining any function at all is remarkable." Michael looked away, unable to bear the compassion in her gaze. "Remarkable isn't good enough. I need to get back out there. My squad needs me." Ren's hand lingered for a moment before she withdrew it, the absence of her warmth leaving him feeling cold. "Your dedication is admirable, but pushing too hard could set back your recovery. We need to be patient." "Patient," Michael scoffed. "Well, I'm stuck here. The Dvar are still out there expanding their territory. Every day I spend in this chair is another day they get stronger." A shadow passed over Ren's face. "The war isn't your responsibility alone, Michael. There are other pilots, other soldiers. But none with my experience. He countered, frustration boiling over. I've faced the Javari more times than anyone else in the Alliance. I know their tactics, their weaknesses. Ren's brow furrowed, creating mesmerizing patterns on her skin. And what good will all that knowledge be if you permanently damage yourself by rushing your rehabilitation? Her words struck him, cutting through his anger. He slumped in his chair, feeling every ache and pain in his battered body. I feel so useless, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Ren knelt beside him, her gaze unwavering. You are far from useless, Michael. Your recovery, your perseverance, it inspires the other patients here. The data we're gathering from your treatment could help countless others in the future. A weak chuckle escaped his lips. Great, I've gone from ace pilot to lab rat. I prefer to think of you as a pioneer, she replied, a hint of a smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. Shall we continue? I believe you still owe me 50 repetitions on the isometric stabilizer. Michael groaned theatrically, but allowed Ren to help him transfer to the next piece of equipment. As she adjusted the settings, he found himself drawn to the graceful movements of her hands, the way her skin pulsed with an inner light. You know, he said, surprising himself, I don't think I've ever asked what made you decide to become a nurse, especially one specializing in species care. Ren paused, her eyes taking on a faraway look. On my homeworld, I was different. My empathic abilities were considered too strong, too intrusive. But here among the stars, that sensitivity is an asset. I can understand the needs of patients from 100 different worlds. Michael nodded, a new appreciation blossoming within him. It can't be easy, though, dealing with all that pain and frustration day in and day out. It has its challenges, Ren admitted, but it also has its rewards. Moments like this, for instance. Before Michael could ask what she meant, Ren pressed a button on the console, and the stabilizer hummed to life, gently manipulating his legs into the correct position. Now, I want you to focus on maintaining balance while the machine moves you through various poses. It will help retrain your proprioception. As the session progressed, Michael found his initial reluctance fading. There was something almost meditative about the precise movements and the way Ren's calm voice guided him through each exercise. For the first time in months, he felt a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, he might fly again. The weeks that followed fell into a routine. Each morning, Michael would wheel himself to the therapy room, where Ren waited with new challenges. Some days were better than others. There were moments of triumph, like the day he managed to wiggle his toes on command, and setbacks, hours spent in frustrated silence as his body refused to cooperate. Through it all, Ren remained a constant presence, her unwavering support and gentle encouragement a lifeline when the weight of his injury threatened to pull him into despair. However, it was during one particularly grueling session that Michael first noticed a shift in their dynamic. He was struggling with a new piece of equipment designed to simulate walking motions when a muscle spasm sent a lance of pain through his lower back. Damn it, he swore, instinctively reaching for the affected area. In an instant, Ren was at his side, her cool fingers probing the knotted muscles with surprising strength. As she worked out the spasm, Michael became acutely aware of her proximity. The faint scent of her skin, a mix of ozone and exotic flowers, filled his nostrils, and he felt the warmth of her breath on the back of his neck, sending an unexpected shiver down his spine. Better, she asked, her voice husky. Yeah, thanks, he replied, swallowing hard, suddenly feeling dizzy from the intensity of the moment. As Ren stepped back, their eyes met for a heartbeat. Something electric passed between them, a current of unspoken tension that left Michael feeling off balance in a way that had nothing to do with his injury. Perhaps we should call it a day, she suggested, her voice trembling. Michael nodded, not trusting himself to speak as he maneuvered his chair toward the exit. As he caught Ren's reflection in one of the mirrored walls, he could have sworn he saw a faint blue glow emanating from her skin. He shook his head, attributing the vision to fatigue and the lingering effects of his pain medication. Yet, as the days passed, he noticed other subtle changes in Wren's behavior. Her touches, once clinical and detached, now lingered longer than necessary. Her gaze, always intense, held a new depth that Michael couldn't quite decipher. During their sessions, he often caught her watching him with an expression that looked almost hungry. At first, he dismissed these observations as products of his imagination, or perhaps a side effect of the isolation he felt in the medical facility. But as the changes became more pronounced, he couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental had shifted between them. One morning, about 3 months into his rehabilitation, Michael arrived for his usual session to find the therapy room empty. He frowned, checking the time on his wrist computer. He wasn't early. If anything, he was a few minutes late. "Wren," he called out, wheeling further into the room. A soft, rustling sound came from behind one of the privacy screens. "Just a moment," Wren's voice replied, sounding oddly strained. When she finally emerged, Michael's jaw dropped. Wren's usually neat appearance was disheveled, her uniform wrinkled and askew. But it was her skin that truly captured his attention. It pulsed with an inner radiance, bathing the room in a soft, ethereal glow. "I apologize for my tardiness," Wren said, her words coming out in an almost breathless rush. "I was indisposed." "Wren, are you feeling all right?" "You look different," Michael said, concern flooding his voice. "I feel," she began, then shook her head as if to clear it. "It's nothing. Shall we begin?" As she moved closer, Michael felt an inexplicable pull, as if his body were responding to some unheard call. The air between them crackled with unseen energy. "Maybe we should reschedule," he suggested, his throat suddenly dry. "If you're not feeling well." "No," Wren explained, her intensity startling them both. She took a deep breath, visibly composing herself. "I mean, there's no need. I'm perfectly capable of performing my duties." But as she reached for the neural stimulator controls, her hand brushed against Michael's arm. The contact sent a jolt through both of them, causing Wren to gasp and stumble backward. "Wren," Michael exclaimed, instinctively reaching out to steady her. As his fingers closed around her wrist, he felt a surge of something, heat, electricity, that left him dizzy and hyper-aware. For a long moment, they remained frozen in that position, Michael half out of his chair and Wren swaying on her feet, the air humming with unspoken tension. Finally, Wren wrenched herself free, her chest heaving with rapid breaths. I think perhaps you were right," she stammered. "We should reschedule." I can't." Before Michael could respond, she fled the room, leaving him alone with the lingering glow of her presence and 1,000 unanswered questions. As the door hissed shut behind her, Michael slumped back in his chair, his mind reeling. What in the name of all the stars had just happened? He stared his hand, the one that had grasped Wren's wrist, half expecting to see some physical evidence of the strange energy that had passed between them. The room felt suddenly cold and empty without Wren's luminous presence, and he shivered, a mix of confusion and an emotion he wasn't ready to name churning in his gut. He had known Wren for months now, had come to rely on her steady guidance and unwavering support. But this was something entirely new and potentially dangerous. As he slowly wheeled himself out of the therapy room, Michael's tactical mind, honed by years of combat and strategy, began to analyze the situation. Wren was clearly experiencing some kind of physical change. Was it an illness, a natural biological process of her species, or something more sinister? He realized with a start that for all the time they'd spent together, he knew precious little about Wren's people or their biology. The Intergalactic Alliance encompassed hundreds of species, each with their own unique traits and life cycles. It was entirely possible that what he had witnessed was perfectly normal for Wren's kind. But if that were the case, why had she seemed so alarmed? And why had she run? As Michael made his way back to his quarters, he found himself hyper-aware of his surroundings. The medical facility, once a place of monotonous routine, now felt charged with potential danger. Every alien face he passed became a possible threat, every shadowed corner a hiding place for unseen perils. He shook his head, trying to dispel the paranoid thoughts. This wasn't a battlefield, and Ren wasn't an enemy combatant. She was, what? A friend, a caregiver, something more. The uncertainty gnawed at him as he entered his Spartan living space. He transferred himself from the wheelchair to his bed with practiced ease, but the physical exertion did little to quiet his racing mind. As he lay there, staring at the featureless ceiling, he couldn't shake the memory of Ren's touch, the way her skin had glowed with an inner light. Despite his best efforts to maintain a professional distance, he had grown to care for her deeply. The thought that she might be in some kind of distress twisted something inside him. He reached for his datapad, fingers hovering over the communication panel. Should he call her, check if she was all right? But what if his presence only made things worse? In the end, exhaustion won out over indecision, and Michael drifted into an uneasy sleep. His dreams were filled with swirling blue light and the echo of Ren's gasping breath, unveiling secrets. The morning sun filtered through the narrow windows of Michael's quarters, casting long shadows across the sterile walls. He woke with a start, the vivid dream of swirling blue light and Ren's haunting gaze still fresh in his mind. The weight of confusion and concern clung to him like a heavy cloak. How could he possibly help her, especially now that he knew the truth about the mating cycle of her species? He took a deep breath, steadying himself as he maneuvered his wheelchair toward the small refreshment station in the corner of his room. The metallic clang of the wheelchair wheels echoed through the quiet space, a reminder of his current limitations. As he prepared a nutrient shake, his thoughts churned. Ren was in danger, potentially life-threatening danger, and he couldn't just sit idly by. He needed to understand more about her species, the Aurans, and the implications of their mating cycle. After finishing his shake, Michael glanced at his datapad, the screen lighting up with notifications. He had messages from fellow soldiers and updates from the command center, but none of that mattered right now. What he needed was information about Ren. His fingers hovered over the communication panel. Should he reach out to her, or would that only make things worse? In the end, he decided to prioritize knowledge over hesitation. Navigating through the corridors of the medical facility, Michael felt a renewed sense of purpose. The earlier tension and confusion had transformed into determination. He approached the information center again, hoping the Vulcan staff member was still available. As he entered, he spotted the gelatinous form shimmering under the facility's harsh lights. "Excuse me," Michael said, his voice steady despite the urgency in his chest. "I need to ask about the Aurans, specifically their mating cycle. The nurse I work with, Ren, she's experiencing it, and I need to understand what that means." The Vulcan turned its attention to him, its tendrils rippling with curiosity. "Ah, Michael, you've returned. What aspects of Auran biology are you seeking to understand? How does the mating cycle affect their mental and physical state? What do they need during this time?" Michael asked, a sense of urgency creeping into his tone. The Vulcan's body undulated as it processed his request. The Auran mating cycle, known as the Azuan cycle, involves a series of physiological and psychological changes. During this time, Aurans experience heightened empathic abilities and increased pheromone production. This can lead to overwhelming urges to bond with a compatible partner. Compatible partner? Michael echoed, the implication sending a shiver down his spine. And what happens if they don't bond? In extreme cases, the Vulcan replied, its tone becoming grave. Failure to complete the bonding process can lead to severe psychological distress, even death. Aurans are deeply connected to their empathic senses. If they feel unfulfilled during the mating cycle, it can be catastrophic for their mental health. Michael felt a knot form in his stomach. The stakes were higher than he had imagined. Is there anything that can be done to help them? Any treatments or alternatives? There are treatments to mitigate symptoms, but they are not always effective. The only true solution is to find a compatible partner, the Vulcan stated. However, the concept of compatibility is complex. It is not solely based on biological factors. Emotional and psychic resonance plays a significant role. So, what you're saying is that if Ren doesn't bond with someone, she could be in serious danger. Michael's voice was barely above a whisper. Correct, the Vulcan replied. It is imperative for her well-being that she either bonds or receives support during this time. Michael nodded, feeling a mixture of dread and determination. He had to find a way to support Ren, even if it meant putting his own reservations aside. As he left the information center, a plan began to form in his mind. Back in his quarters, he sat at his datapad, staring at the screen. He had spent months pushing away his feelings for Ren, focusing instead on his rehabilitation. But now, with the weight of her potential suffering hanging over him, he couldn't ignore the connection they shared any longer. He took a deep breath, typing a message to Ren. Ren, I understand what you're going through. I want to help you. Please let me know when you can meet. I need to talk. After hitting send, he felt both anxious and hopeful. Over the next few hours, Michael found it difficult to concentrate on anything other than Ren. He replayed their last encounter over and over in his mind, the electric touch, the way her skin had glowed. He realized that he had feelings for her, strong ones, and now he had to confront that reality. But was he ready to become what she needed? Finally, as the day turned to dusk, Michael received a response from Ren. Michael, I appreciate your concern, but we should not meet. It's not safe for you or me right now. I need to manage this cycle on my own. Frustration bubbled within him. Why do you insist on doing this alone? He typed back. You don't have to face this by yourself. I want to help. There was a long pause before Ren responded. You don't understand. The bond we create during this time is not just physical. It involves emotional merging. I can't ask that of you, especially given your condition. Michael felt a pang of disappointment. How could she think that his disability would hinder his ability to care for her? He typed back, Ren, I may not be able to walk, but I'm still capable of feeling. If you're in danger, then I will fight for you. After hitting send, he leaned back in his chair, heart racing. What if she didn't want him? What if she thought he was just being foolish? A response came quickly. Michael, you don't realize how serious this is. My people bond in a way that's unlike any human connection. It's intense, and I can't force you into that. Maybe it's not about forcing, he replied, his resolve solidifying. Maybe it's about choice, and I choose to be there for you. The silence stretched as he waited for her reply. Finally, she typed, I will think about it. Please give me some time. Michael exhaled slowly, feeling a mixture of relief and anxiety. She would think about it. There was hope. But now he needed to prepare himself for whatever would come next. Over the following days, Michael devoted himself to understanding more about Aurans and their unique biology. He researched empathic abilities, bonding rituals, and the implications of the mating cycle. Each new piece of information only strengthened his resolve. He learned that Aurans often felt isolated during their mating cycles, their heightened emotions creating barriers that made them reluctant to reach out for help. As he absorbed more knowledge, Michael's empathy for Ren deepened. She was navigating a path fraught with emotional peril, and he felt a compelling urge to be by her side. He recalled their therapy sessions, the way she had guided him, her soothing presence making the pain a little more bearable. It was time he returned the favor. Determined to break through the barriers Ren had erected, he decided to visit her at the therapy room. As he wheeled down the corridors, he rehearsed what he would say. He envisioned her bright, cerulean skin glowing under the lights, her large, expressive eyes filled with both fear and hope. When he arrived at the therapy room, he hesitated at the door. Taking a deep breath, he activated the panel. The door slid open, and there she was, just as he had imagined. But today, something was different. Ren's skin pulsed with a luminous glow, her expression slightly more strained than usual. Michael, she said, her voice softer than he remembered. What are you doing here? I came to talk, he replied, rolling closer. We need to discuss what's happening to you. I understand now, and I want to help. Wren's gaze dropped to the floor, and Michael could see the turmoil within her. You shouldn't have come. It's dangerous for both of us. Maybe, he countered gently, but you don't have to do this alone. I care about you, Wren. I can't stand the thought of you suffering. Her eyes flickered up to meet his, surprise mingling with something else, something deeper. Michael, this isn't just a minor issue. I know it's serious, he interrupted, but I can help you. Let me in. For a moment, silence hung heavy in the air, filled only by the low hum of the medical equipment around them. Then, with a deep breath, Wren stepped closer, the glow of her skin intensifying. What you're suggesting, it's not just about being there for me. It's a bond, a union that connects our minds and souls. Michael felt the heat rising in his chest. I'm ready for that. I want to be connected to you in any way I can. Her expression softened, and for the first time, he saw a flicker of hope in her eyes. You really mean that? More than anything, he replied earnestly. If it helps you, I'll do it. I won't let you face this alone. Wren's gaze bore into his, searching for sincerity. Finally, she nodded slowly, her resolve seeming to waver. If we do this, you need to understand that it will change everything. You must be sure. I'm sure, Michael affirmed, his voice steady. I want to support you, no matter the cost. With a deep breath, Wren stepped closer, the air between them charged with potential. Very well, but we must proceed carefully. There's no turning back once we start. As she began to explain the process, Michael listened intently, the weight of their decisions settling between them. He was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they would navigate this uncharted territory, forging a bond that would transcend the barriers of their worlds. The connection deepens. The air in the therapy room was thick with anticipation as Michael and Wren stood facing each other, the gravity of their decision settling around them like a warm, protective blanket. Michael's heart raced, not from fear, but from a burgeoning sense of hope and purpose. He was ready to support Wren through her mating cycle, to become the partner she needed, even if it meant stepping into a world filled with uncertainties and emotional complexities. Wren took a deep breath, her cerulean skin shimmering softly under the fluorescent lights. To begin the bonding process, we need to create a safe space for both of us. This is as much about emotional connection as it is about physical proximity. Michael nodded, feeling a surge of determination. I'm here for you, Wren, whatever it takes. First, I need to explain what will happen during the bonding, Wren continued, her voice steady yet tinged with an underlying vulnerability. We will share our thoughts, our feelings, and our essence. It will be an intimate experience, one that may bring to the surface emotions we've kept hidden. Michael felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. What do I need to do? Wren stepped closer, the soft glow of her skin illuminating the space between them. Just be open. Allow yourself to feel. I will guide you through it. As she spoke, Michael recalled the moments they had shared in therapy, the way she had supported him, the empathy in her eyes. He had always felt a connection to her, but now it was becoming something deeper, something he had never imagined possible. Are you ready? Wren asked, her voice low and melodic, echoing in the stillness of the room. I am, Michael replied, meeting her gaze. He could feel the warmth radiating from her body, a soothing presence that eased the tension in his own. Wren reached out, her slender fingers brushing against his arm. The moment their skin made contact, a jolt of energy surged through him, as if they had created an invisible thread binding them together. Michael's breath caught in his throat. It was a sensation unlike anything he had experienced, intense yet comforting. Close your eyes, Wren instructed softly. Breathe deeply and let your mind open. Michael obeyed, allowing the world around him to fade away. He concentrated on the rhythm of his breath, inhaling slowly, feeling the air fill his lungs. As he exhaled, he imagined all his fears and doubts leaving his body. In that moment, he let go of everything he had been holding onto, the weight of his injury, the feelings of inadequacy, the anxiety of the future. Now, visualize a light. Ren's voice floated through the darkness behind his eyelids. A warm, golden light that represents your essence. Let it fill you, expand outward. Imagine it intertwining with mine. Michael focused on her words, picturing the golden light spreading through his body, illuminating every corner of his mind. As he concentrated, he felt the gentle warmth of Ren's presence beside him, a calming anchor amidst the swirling emotions. He imagined their lights merging, flowing together like rivers converging into a single stream. It was exhilarating and frightening all at once. The bond they were forging felt real and alive, pulsating with potential. Suddenly, Michael felt a rush of sensations flooding through him, feelings that weren't his own. Memories, emotions, and thoughts that belonged to Ren began to weave into his consciousness. He gasped, the sudden influx overwhelming. "I'm scared," Ren's voice echoed in his mind, softer and more vulnerable than he had ever heard it. "This is uncharted territory for me. The weight of my people's expectations, the fear of failing the bond, it all feels so heavy." Michael reached out with his own thoughts, trying to reassure her. "You're not alone, Ren. I'm here. We'll face this together." He felt her presence responding, a shimmering wave of warmth enveloping him. It was a comforting sensation, and he focused on it, allowing it to ground him amidst a flood of new feelings. "Thank you," Ren replied, her essence mingling with his. "Your support means everything to me. I've always felt different, never truly understood. I don't want to be alone in this. You make me feel safe." A wave of emotion surged through Michael, deepening the bond they were creating. He could feel her fears and hopes, the vulnerability that came with opening herself up to him. The connection deepened, swirling around them like a cocoon of light, and he felt a surge of determination. "You are not alone," he reassured her again, this time more fervently. "We can navigate this together. I want to understand you, every part of you." As they shared their thoughts and feelings, Michael began to see glimpses of Ren's past. He felt the weight of her experiences, the trials she faced as an Oran, the struggles to balance her empathic abilities with her role as a caregiver. He understood the isolation she had felt among her own kind, the difficulty of being seen as different. "I never wanted to be a burden," Ren's thoughts whispered in his mind. "But this cycle, it makes me feel like I'm losing control of my own body, of my own emotions." Michael's heart ached at her confession. "You're not a burden, Ren. You're incredible. Your strength inspires me every day. Let me help you through this. I want to support you, not just as a patient, but as a partner." As Michael's words resonated in their shared space, he felt an overwhelming wave of gratitude wash over Ren. "Thank you," she said again, her voice filled with warmth. "This connection, it's changing me. I can feel my fear starting to dissipate." In that moment, Michael understood the power of their bond. It was more than just a physical connection. It was a melding of their minds and souls. They were forging a partnership built on empathy, understanding, and unwavering support. Time seemed to lose meaning as they remained in their shared consciousness, exploring each other's emotions and experiences. Michael felt the barriers between them dissolve, leaving only a pure, unfiltered connection. He could sense Ren's essence intertwining with his, wrapping around him like a protective shroud. "I can feel your essence, Michael," Ren conveyed, her voice resonating with clarity. "It's warm and inviting. I've never experienced anything like it before. It makes me feel alive." Michael smiled, even though she couldn't see him. "That's how I feel when I'm with you, Ren. You bring light into my life, and I want to share that light with you." Suddenly, the energy in the room shifted. Michael felt an intense wave of emotions ripple through Ren, an urgency, a deep-seated need. "I need you," she whispered, her voice tinged with longing. "I need you to help me complete this cycle." The realization struck him with force. The bond they were creating was not just for emotional support, it was a pathway to fulfill her biological needs as well. Michael's heart raced at the implications. Could he truly be the partner Ren needed? He took a moment to gather his thoughts, the weight of the decision pressing heavily on him. "Are you sure?" he asked, uncertainty creeping into his voice. "This is a significant step, and I don't want to rush you into anything." "I am sure," Ren replied, her essence pulsating with conviction. "I need this bond. It's not just about the cycle, it's about you and me. I want to share everything with you." Her words filled him with courage. He had never been one to shy away from challenges, and this was no different. "Then let's do it," he said firmly. "Let's complete this bond together." With that agreement, the energy in the room intensified, a surge of warmth enveloping them both. Ren stepped closer, their bodies almost touching. Michael felt the heat radiating from her, a signal of the bond they were about to seal. In that moment, as their essences intertwined, he realized that they were embarking on a journey that would forever change their lives. The connection deepened, transcending their physical forms, weaving a tapestry of shared emotions, experiences, and dreams. As they surrendered to the bond, Michael felt the barriers of his own fears begin to dissolve. He was no longer just a soldier in a wheelchair. He was a partner in a transformative journey, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Time lost its meaning as they remained in their shared space, exploring the depths of their connection. Michael could feel Ren's emotions, her joys, and fears flooding his consciousness. He understood that this bond would not only change their lives, but also allow them to face the challenges that awaited them together. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: Michael and Ren were no longer alone in their struggles. They had found each other in the most unexpected circumstances, and together they would navigate the complexities of love, duty, and sacrifice. The challenge ahead. As Michael and Ren emerged from the depths of their shared connection, reality began to seep back in, and he blinked against the harsh fluorescent lights of the therapy room. The intimate bond they had forged now felt like a lifeline, one that intertwined their destinies. He could still feel the warmth of Ren's essence lingering in his mind, a reminder of the vulnerability and strength they had shared. "Are you okay?" Ren asked, her voice soft, yet layered with an intensity that echoed their recent experience. Her cerulean skin still glowed faintly, the after-effects of their bond evident in the gentle radiance that enveloped her. "I'm more than okay," Michael replied, a genuine smile breaking across his face. "That was incredible. I never imagined we could connect like that." Ren stepped back slightly, her gaze steady as she studied him. "It's a profound experience for both of us, but we need to understand what it means for our future. The bond we've created will bring challenges along with its gifts." Michael's smile faded as her words sank in. "What kind of challenges?" She took a moment, her expression becoming serious. "With the mating cycle, my instincts and emotions will be heightened. I'll feel everything more intensely: joy, fear, desire. It may become overwhelming. I don't want you to feel burdened by that." "I want to be there for you," he insisted, feeling a mix of resolve and anxiety. "We just made a promise to support each other, right? I won't turn away when things get tough." "True," she acknowledged, her eyes softening. "But there are other aspects to consider. My empathic abilities will be stronger, and it may lead to unexpected reactions from others. People around us may sense the bond and react differently." "Reactions? What do you mean?" Michael asked, the thought sending a ripple of apprehension through him. "Some may see our connection as a threat or a curiosity," Ren explained, her brow furrowing. "The Aurans are known for their empathic abilities, and those who are not familiar with our culture might not understand the bond we've created. It could lead to complications." Michael leaned forward, taking her hands in his. "What do you need from me? I'll face whatever comes our way." Ren squeezed his hands gently, the warmth of her touch grounding him. "We'll need to set boundaries. I will need to manage my emotions carefully. I don't want to unintentionally draw attention or cause fear among those around us." "That makes sense," he replied, his mind racing with possibilities. "We can work together on this. Maybe we can practice some techniques to help you manage the heightened feelings." That's a good idea, she said, her smile returning, brightening the room. If we set aside time each day to strengthen our bond and focus on grounding techniques, it may help us both adjust. Michael nodded, feeling a sense of purpose. Then let's start now. What can I do to help? As they moved back to the center of the room, Ren explained various techniques, her voice calm and soothing. They would practice breathing exercises, visualizations, and grounding methods designed to help her navigate the emotional waves that might crash over her during the mating cycle. Close your eyes and focus on your breath, she instructed, guiding him through the process. Imagine a warm light surrounding you, protecting you from outside influences. Picture it as a shield, something that keeps your emotions in while allowing positive energy to flow out. Michael followed her lead, drawing in deep breaths as he envisioned the golden light enveloping him. He felt a sense of calm wash over him, grounding him in the present moment. The world outside faded away, leaving only the two of them in their shared space. Now let's connect our energies again, Rin suggested. Feel my essence merging with yours and allow that connection to reinforce your shield. As they focused on their bond, the familiar warmth returned. Michael felt their lights intertwining, and the sense of unity between them deepened. They were not just partners, they were allies facing the unknown together. Hours passed in this way, and they practiced the techniques Ren suggested. Each time they connected, Michael could feel Ren's emotions ebb and flow, becoming more manageable with each session. Their bond solidified, providing them both with a refuge in which to navigate the turbulent waters of Ren's mating cycle. Eventually, Ren opened her eyes, her expression filled with gratitude. Thank you, Michael. This is helping more than I anticipated. It's comforting to know I'm not alone in this. Always, he replied, a smile forming on his lips. We're a team, remember. Together we can face whatever challenges come our way. But even as they embraced this new chapter, Michael could feel the undercurrents of tension in the facility. The medical staff had begun to notice Ren's changes, her luminous skin and heightened energy drawing glances and whispers. He was aware that rumors could spread quickly in such an environment, especially among the diverse species residing in the Alliance. The following day, as he wheeled himself into the therapy room, he noticed a group of medical personnel gathered nearby, their hushed voices tinged with curiosity. Michael exchanged glances with Ren, who stood by the equipment, her demeanor poised yet alert. Michael, we may need to address this sooner rather than later, she said, her voice low. If the rumors spread, it could complicate our situation. He nodded, his resolve hardening. Then let's be proactive. We'll confront it head-on and explain our bond. The more open we are, the less power their assumptions will have. Ren's eyes sparkled with admiration. I appreciate your courage. It's not easy for either of us, but transparency is key. They moved toward the group of medical staff, who fell silent as they approached. Michael took a deep breath, readying himself for the conversation ahead. Can we have a moment? He asked, his voice steady. There's something we need to clarify. The staff members exchanged glances before nodding, creating a small circle around them. Michael felt Ren's presence beside him, her energy flowing into him, bolstering his confidence. Thank you for your attention, he began, looking around the group. I want to address the observations you may have made regarding Ren and the bond we formed. Some of the personnel shifted uncomfortably, while others leaned in closer, their curiosity piqued. Ren is experiencing a natural biological process known as the Azuan cycle, and we've entered into a bond to support each other through it, Michael continued. I understand that it may seem unusual, but we are both committed to ensuring that this bond is positive and mutually beneficial. A few murmurs rippled through the crowd, but Michael pressed on. We hope to foster understanding rather than fear. If any of you have questions or concerns, we're here to answer them openly. Finally, one of the nurses, a humanoid with large, curious eyes, stepped forward. What exactly does this bond mean for you both? How would it affect your work here? Ren took a breath, stepping into the conversation. Our bond is built on trust and empathy. It will not interfere with our duties, but will instead enhance our abilities to support one another. I can assure you that my focus remains on my responsibilities as a caregiver." Michael nodded in agreement, and we all worked diligently to maintain a professional environment. If there are moments when my presence may be distracting, I'm more than willing to step back to ensure the facility continues to function smoothly. As the conversation unfolded, Michael could see the initial tension within the group start to dissipate. Curiosity was giving way to understanding, and he could feel Ren's emotions stabilizing beside him. "Thank you for your honesty," the nurse said, a smile breaking through. "We appreciate your openness, and it's good to know that you're both approaching this with care. We'll respect your bond." Relief washed over Michael as he felt the shift in energy. "Thank you. We want to create a supportive atmosphere for everyone, and we appreciate your understanding." With that, the group began to disperse, conversations bubbling with renewed energy. Michael and Ren exchanged glances, the unspoken connection between them deepening with each shared challenge. "We did it," Ren said, her voice barely above a whisper, her glow seeming to brighten even more. "You handled that beautifully." "It was a team effort," Michael replied, his heart swelling with pride. "I couldn't have done it without you." As they returned to their therapy routine, Michael felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were not just surviving the challenges of their bond, they were thriving. Together, they were crafting a unique story that would transcend their individual struggles. However, in the back of Michael's mind lingered the awareness that the real challenges were yet to come. With Ren's mating cycle just beginning, he understood that the emotional intensity would only increase. Yet he felt ready, determined to stand by her side, no matter what trials lay ahead. That evening, as the stars twinkled outside the medical facility, Michael and Ren sat together, their fingers intertwined. They were more than just allies now. They were partners in every sense of the word. Whatever challenges the universe might throw at them, they would face it together. Embracing the unexpected, the following days unfolded in a whirlwind of emotion, connection, and heightened awareness. Michael and Ren dedicated themselves to strengthening their bond, engaging in their daily exercises and techniques to navigate the complexities of Ren's Azuan cycle. They embraced the rhythm of their newfound relationship, but the undercurrents of uncertainty still rippled through their interactions. Each session brought new challenges, yet it also deepened their connection. As they practiced grounding techniques, Michael could feel the energy flowing between them like a gentle tide, soothing yet invigorating. Ren's empathy wrapped around him, a protective shield against the emotional waves that threatened to crash down. "Let's try something new today," Ren suggested one morning, her cerulean skin shimmering under the soft glow of the therapy room lights. "I think we should explore visualization exercises that align with my empathic abilities. It may help both of us prepare for the intensity of this cycle." Michael nodded, intrigued. "What do you have in mind?" Ren smiled, her eyes twinkling with excitement. "We'll create a shared landscape in our minds, a sanctuary where we can retreat whenever things become overwhelming. It will serve as a safe haven for us both." "Sounds perfect," he replied, feeling a thrill of anticipation. "I'm ready to dive in." As they settled into a comfortable position, Ren guided him through the process. "Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Imagine a serene landscape, something that brings you peace. Picture it in vivid detail. What do you see, hear, and feel?" Michael focused on her words, letting his mind wander to a tranquil beach he had visited during his childhood. He could almost feel the soft sand beneath his toes and hear the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. "I see a vast ocean," he said, allowing the imagery to come alive. "The water is clear and blue, stretching endlessly toward the horizon." "Good," Ren encouraged, her voice a soothing melody. "Now imagine that this place is a sanctuary, a safe space where we can retreat whenever the world feels too heavy. What else do you see?" "I see palm trees swaying in the breeze," he continued, his imagination painting the scene vividly. "There are vibrant flowers everywhere, their colors bright against the blue sky. It feels warm and inviting, a perfect escape. As he spoke, he felt Ren's presence beside him, her energy melding with his as they created this shared haven. Now, envision us there together, she urged. Feel the warmth of the sun on our skin, the gentle breeze brushing past us. This is a space for healing and connection. In their minds, the beach transformed into a lush paradise filled with laughter and love. Michael could feel Ren's energy intertwining with his, the bond they had created wrapping around them like a protective cocoon. The beauty of their shared sanctuary washed over him, soothing his anxieties and igniting a sense of belonging. Here, we can share our thoughts freely, Ren said, her voice echoing in the tranquility of their imagined space. No judgment, just understanding. As the exercise continued, Michael felt a new wave of emotions coursing through him. Memories of past battles, the pain of loss, and the fear of inadequacy mingled with the hope and connection he felt with Ren. The sanctuary became a canvas upon which they painted their feelings, every brushstroke a testament to their shared journey. I'm afraid, he confessed, allowing vulnerability to seep into his words. I worry that I won't be enough for you during this cycle. What if I can't handle the intensity of your emotions? Ren turned to him, her eyes filled with compassion. It's natural to feel that way, Michael. The fear of not being enough can be overwhelming, but it's okay to express those feelings. We can support each other through this. As he met her gaze, he felt a surge of reassurance. I'm not alone, he thought, realizing that their bond allowed them to share not only joy, but also fears and insecurities. In this sanctuary, he could be his true self without fear of judgment. Let's promise to be honest with each other, Ren suggested, her voice steady. If things become too much, we communicate openly. We won't let fear drive us apart. I promise, he said, feeling a weight lift off his shoulders. Together, we'll face whatever comes our way. As they continued their visualization, the sanctuary expanded, revealing hidden depths. They envisioned a cozy fire crackling in the sand, casting a warm glow across their faces. In this moment, surrounded by their creation, they felt free to express their hopes and dreams, to explore the possibilities of their bond. What do you dream of, Michael? Ren asked, her curiosity evident. He paused, contemplating the question. I dream of flying again, of feeling the wind beneath me as I soar through the sky. I miss the thrill of being in control, of saving lives. But I also dream of building a life with you, of experiencing new adventures together. Ren smiled, the light in her eyes brightening. Those dreams are within reach. Together, we can navigate both the skies and the depths of our emotions. In that moment, Michael understood that their bond transcended mere support. It was a partnership grounded in shared aspirations. He realized that they could become not just a source of strength for each other, but a force that would empower them to overcome any obstacle. As they concluded their visualization exercise, Michael opened his eyes, the therapy room coming back into focus. That was incredible, he said, his heart racing with renewed energy. I feel more connected to you than ever. Ren smiled, her glow still radiating warmth. This sanctuary will be our refuge. Whenever we feel overwhelmed, we can return here in our minds and find peace together. Over the next few days, they integrated their sanctuary into their routine, using it as a tool to navigate the emotional tides of Ren's mating cycle. Each time they connected, they solidified their bond, empowering each other to face the challenges that arose. However, as the cycle progressed, the intensity of Ren's emotions began to manifest in unexpected ways. During one session, while practicing grounding techniques, Michael sensed a shift in her energy. The calmness that had enveloped them transformed into something more chaotic, a whirlpool of emotions that threatened to overwhelm them both. Michael, Ren exclaimed, her voice filled with urgency. I can feel the surge of emotions rising. It's more intense than I anticipated. Michael immediately shifted into protective mode, instinctively reaching out to her. Focus on our sanctuary, Ren. Picture it. We're together there, safe and sound. But even as he spoke, he could feel the pull of her emotions pushing against his. Ren's empathic abilities were becoming increasingly pronounced, and he struggled to keep pace with the tide. It felt like trying to hold back a storm with bare hands. "Stay with me," he urged, tightening his grip on her hands. "We can do this together." Ren nodded, but he could see the strain etched on her face. "I'm trying, but it's overwhelming. I feel everything, every fear, every doubt, and it's tearing at my mind." In that moment, Michael felt the depth of her struggles and realized the weight of the bond they had created. The raw intensity of their emotions was both beautiful and terrifying. "We need to find a balance," he thought, his mind racing to formulate a plan. "Let's focus on grounding ourselves together," he suggested. "We can do it simultaneously. I'll guide us through it." He closed his eyes, drawing upon the techniques they had practiced. "Inhale deeply, Ren. Imagine the golden light surrounding us, forming a barrier against the chaos." As they breathed together, Michael felt the warmth of their bond grounding them both. He concentrated on sending waves of reassurance toward Ren, sharing his strength with her, urging her to focus on the present moment. "Feel the sand beneath your feet," he encouraged, his voice steady. "Let the energy of the earth anchor you. You're not alone. I'm right here with you." Slowly, he felt Ren's energy begin to stabilize, the chaotic waves giving way to a calmer rhythm. He continued to guide her, drawing her back to their sanctuary, helping her reconnect with the sense of safety they had created together. "It's working," she breathed, the tension in her voice easing. "I can feel the storm receding." As the emotional turmoil faded, Michael opened his eyes to find Ren looking at him with a mix of gratitude and wonder. "You helped me find my way back," she said softly. "I couldn't have done it without you." "Together, we can face anything," he replied, feeling a swell of pride. "Your strength inspires me, Ren, and your emotions, they're a part of who you are. We can learn to navigate them together." With a renewed sense of purpose, they resumed their practice, delving deeper into the techniques that would help Ren manage her heightened empathic abilities. They learned to create barriers within their bond, allowing them to filter emotions without losing their connection. As the days turned into weeks, Michael watched Ren grow more confident, her ability to harness her empathic gifts blossoming. She became more adept at recognizing when her emotions surged, allowing her to communicate her needs without feeling overwhelmed. But amid this growth, the reality of their situation remained ever present. The mating cycle was still in full swing, and the world around them continued to buzz with curiosity and concern. Michael knew that they would have to face the challenges that lay ahead, and the thought of outside judgment loomed over him. One evening, as they sat together in their sanctuary, Michael turned to Ren, his expression serious. "What happens if others can't accept our bond, if they see it as a threat?" Ren's gaze was steady, but Michael could see the flicker of concern in her eyes. "We'll face it together, as we always have. I can sense the fear in some of the staff. They may not understand, but we can educate them. It's our responsibility to help them see the truth of our bond." He nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "I want to be proactive about this. We need to prepare ourselves for any potential backlash. I don't want you to face any negative consequences because of me." "We're in this together, Michael," she reassured him, her voice firm. "You are my partner, and this bond is ours to defend. We'll find a way to communicate the truth of our relationship to those who doubt us." As the sun set on Zeno Vista Prime, painting the sky in hues of purple and gold, Michael felt a swell of gratitude for the journey they had embarked upon. Their connection had become a source of strength, and he knew that together, they could navigate the complexities of their unique relationship. But as they moved forward, he remained acutely aware of the challenges that awaited them. The world outside their sanctuary was filled with uncertainties, and they would need to confront it head-on. Whatever came their way, they would face it together.